Hey everyone, it's Dave from Dave's Ohio Barbecue. In today's video, I am going to make a copycat recipe of Popeyes Chicken Sandwich. Stick around. All right, so the first thing you're gonna obviously need for this is chicken. Now, the recipe I'm giving you today is gonna be for making 2 chicken sandwiches. I'm not gonna make a ton because I'm only making one for me and one for my wife. So usually if you have a big enough chicken breast, kind of like the one I have here, you can just kind of, get the little tapered end off a little bit because you don't want that as part of the sandwich. If it's a really thick chicken breast like this, you can see this is over 1 inch thick. I'm gonna just cut it in half. I'm gonna take my knife and go right down the middle of it so that it ends up being 2 chicken fillets. And you can see here, I cut through, trying to keep my knife sort of even. Okay, and this looks like a nice size for a sandwich. You kind of want it to fit the bun, so there you go. So I've got these 2 pieces, and this is what's gonna be my 2 chicken sandwiches. Don't throw this piece out at all. You can keep it for chicken stock. You can make nuggets out of it. I don't know, do whatever you want with it. The other thing you can do, if you have this kind of a thinner chicken breast, is put it in between 2 sheets of parchment, kind of like I'm doing right here. Okay? And then if you have some sort of meat cleaver, something to bang it with, a rolling pin will work, kind of flatten it out so you get a bigger chicken breast. And that way you can take that piece and cut it in half and make the 2 sandwiches out of that. These chicken breasts do need to be brined, but if you read anything about Popeyes Chicken Sandwich, it's a buttermilk fried chicken. So we are going to brine this today in buttermilk. I looked around, tried to find some recipes. I tried to find the actual recipe that Popeyes uses. And as far as I can tell, it's just a mixture of 1 cup of buttermilk, 2 teaspoons of salt, and then some of the recipes I found called for a teaspoon of MSG. I know some people are allergic to MSG. Some people don't like using it in their food. I don't have any MSG laying around, so I did a little research and I saw that you could substitute soy sauce or even beef broth for MSG. I don't have any beef broth, but I do have plenty of soy sauce available. So I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of soy sauce. It gives it that kind of meaty quality that MSG does. All right, so once you have the brine mixed up and you have the chicken breasts in there, you're gonna wanna let it sit for like a minimum of about 5 hours. To be honest, it would be ideal if you did it the night before, let it sit until the next day, or at least the morning. If you're making it for dinner, do it in the morning, let it sit until that evening. That way, the buttermilk has time to, react, all the enzymes and everything have time to react with the chicken, because you're looking to kind of soften up the chicken. But obviously, stash this in the fridge while you wait. So once the chicken has sat in the buttermilk brine for, overnight, 5 hours, 6 hours, however long you're gonna leave it in there, I like to take it out about a half hour before I apply the breading. You kind of want the chicken not to be ice cold when you start applying the flour and everything, because it sticks better when it's slightly warm. So take it out, let it sit. I rinse the buttermilk brine off and then I pat them dry, leave them on a plate just to warm up a little bit. So now for the breading on this chicken sandwich. In my research, I saw a lot of different recipes. Some called for just straight all-purpose flour and some called for self-rising flour. I've tried both. I think the self-rising gives you a little bit more of that uneven, surface, those bumps and stuff that you get on the chicken sandwich. So what I do, I'm not actually gonna go out and buy self-rising flour. I take a cup of regular all-purpose flour and I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder to it. That gives it a little bit of that lift and a little bit of that self-rising, quality. That kind of works for me. So in addition to the flour and the baking powder, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt to this, a 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, and then just a pinch of onion powder in there. And that will give that breading that kind of, down-home Louisiana flavor that Popeyes is known for. So before we go and put this breading on our chicken, we do need to dip it in some sort of liquid, to kind of get it to stick. What I like to do first is this. I like to take the chicken breast and first dip it into the flour dry, just kind of dip it in there. Then we're gonna put it into our egg and milk mixture. What it is 1 large egg beaten, so stir it up real good, add a 1/2 cup of buttermilk, and then about 4 tablespoons of milk on that. And that's gonna be your wet surface, your dip or whatever you want to call it, for the chicken. I find it easier to just use like a flat glass baking dish. I use that for both the egg mixture and for the flour. I just find it easier to kind of get your fingers in there, toss everything around that way. Gets a little bit, you know, it's a little easier to do than doing it on a bowl or a plate or something. So cover it with the flour first, dip it into the egg mixture, and then back into the flour, and really kind of pile it on there really good. You want it to be sort of uneven and craggly on there. That's what gives you that really cool texture on the chicken after you fry it. So then in a heavy pot, I'm gonna use this Dutch oven I have on my stove. You're gonna put, you know, about 2 inches of oil, maybe 3. I'm using canola oil today for mine. And you wanna heat it up to about 300, 325 degrees before you start frying. I have a candy thermometer here that I'm gonna use to check the temperature. I also have my instant read thermometer. I'll double check it when it gets to about 325. That's when I know that this chicken is ready to fry. Take the chicken, lower it into your oil carefully. I've got this little, you know, skimmer here that I use for lowering it in. And I'm going to fry this for anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. What I'm looking for is an internal temperature of 175 degrees. I'll check that with my instant read thermometer. And once it's done, I'm gonna put it on this wire rack, just kind of to cool a little bit. It's scorching hot right now. And while that's going on, I'm going to prepare my buns and get all the condiments and everything ready to go. So for the buns on this, what you wanna get, I mean, any soft white bun will be good, but if you really want to go and do it legit, you wanna get like some sort of brioche bun. And I found these in the local supermarket. You know, they're made by Orlando, just brioche buns. They look pretty good, substantial. They'll hold up to the sandwich when you put it on there. But it's not enough just to have a bun. What you should do to it is you should coat each side of the bun, top and bottom, with some softened butter. And then in a skillet, kind of brown them ever so slightly just to get that little bit of crisp on there. And then really the only condiments that go on the sandwich in addition to the chicken is some mayonnaise and a couple of dill pickles. And that's it. And there you have it. There's my copycat version of the Popeyes chicken sandwich. It was really juicy, it was really crispy, it was really good. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. That's where I get a lot of ideas for my videos and stuff. Make sure you follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Dave's Ohio Barbecue. I've got a lot of videos coming out soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.